Walmart has, between online and its stores, a huge audience, captive audience to advertise to. What are they doing?
Yes, so Tyler, they are ramping up their advertising business, and that'll change the way that shoppers notice things in stores. Think of places like self-checkout screens or even the overhead radio that plays in Walmart will have 30-second spots that advertisers can buy, and things that are also pretty popular with customers typically, sampling stations. That will be more prominent, and Walmart's trying to incorporate more QR codes that allow people to pick up more information about that product, like a bag of chips or a beverage.
Are they going to have video screens also in their stores?
Yes.
Advertising? In other words, they are having their customer, their clients, their merchandise sellers, they're charging them to advertise in their stores, right?
Exactly. And it's not exactly new because if you think about it, every end of the aisle has always been an advertising opportunity. Mm-hmm. But now they're really trying to bring that into the more digital age with a lot of TV screens. And it's just a little bit more high tech now. So it'll even be like a little bit of information about a pet product that's right next to pet food. So I got a behind-the-scenes look of this in Bentonville near their headquarters, and they're planning to roll this out to more stores nationwide.
The sampling thing is very exciting, just like at Costco. Julia, meanwhile, the broader idea here is to just get ads to people where they buy. I even asked Molson Coors CEO about this earlier. So where do you advertise these days? He said it's all social media. But even there, it's a challenge for online advertisers lately. Pinterest, they're kind of working over time. They've been working to try to make it easier to buy things. Investors still hoping, that they can kind of push people a little bit closer to that finish line.
That's the big opportunity for Pinterest. People oftentimes go to Pinterest because they're looking for products. They're sort of on the verge of shopping. And so what we've seen so far with Pinterest is that this is a company that could really benefit from CEO Bill Ready's focus on making it easier to shop on this platform. Now, this quarter in particular, investors will be looking for an update on a big partnership the company announced with Amazon to bring third-party ads onto Pinterest, which they announced back at the end of April. Now, Loop Capital, with a buy rating on this stock, writing, quote, "We think the Amazon collaboration is critical to demonstrating the bull case that Pinterest can turn its high-intent traffic into action and become a valuable shopping utility." So the question is how this ability to drive shopping helps attract ad dollars, and then how Pinterest fares compared to Meta, which far exceeded expectations with accelerating revenue growth in the quarter, while Alphabet's YouTube's ads also beat expectations. On the other hand, Snap not only fell short of projections, it also forecast negative to flat third quarter revenue growth. Now, for Pinterest, there are some other key areas to watch, including comments on the overall health of the ad market, the success of some of its new advertising tools, as well as the success of its content partnerships. Now, Pinterest is expected to grow its earnings by 5.9% and revenue by 4.5%.
How much of that growth is going to be driven by advertising?
Basically all of it. The question, yes, because Pinterest is an ad-driven platform. They are working on some of these other businesses. But when it comes to the value of driving shopping, that's all about making their ads more valuable. If you can get people to click to buy, then if you have an ad that says, here, check out this new couch, you can click and buy it right now. That's going to make that ad for whatever the product is more valuable.
How much, Melissa, if Walmart pushes further into this realm. I mean, I don't typically think of them as an advertising-driven company like a Pinterest, but as they're starting to ramp that up, as Amazon has clearly pushed into this space, I mean, how much do traditional stores look to vie for advertising dollars from the likes of a Pinterest or a different kind of social media platform?
Retailers, including Walmart, are really in the early phases of this journey, partially because what they see with Pinterest and companies like Meta, because they know it's a higher margin business, and that's where they want to be. It's a lot more lucrative to sell an ad than to sell milk and eggs. And so Walmart is making a concerted push here. So is Kroger, so is Target. And this is part of an effort to kind of take some of the playbook of those tech companies and get into it. A lot of their sales do happen in stores, so that's why they're branching to that. But they're also selling a lot more digital ads. So it's really cutting across both spectrums. Worth noting that Walmart has a huge audience, as Tyler mentioned at the beginning. They draw about 139 million customers to Walmart every week. If you think about that,
wow,
that's larger than the most recent Super Bowl in terms of viewership.
Every week.
And it's really important to know that Amazon has really been leading the charge here. We have Google and Meta, which are the two leaders in digital advertising, but Amazon is growing really quickly in this area and is really becoming a major third force in the digital ad market and really demonstrating to other retailers, hey, maybe you should be getting into this business too.
It's not great as a user experience, though. I'm getting Googled now on Amazon, where if I want to actually find what like the best product is, I have to no sponsored by. Oh, okay, all the way down here at the end of the page, item number 13 is maybe the item I'm looking for.
They're listening to what I say. Alexa's listening. Let me ask you how relevant. It often used to be that when you were heading into an election year, you were heading into an Olympic year, that the advertising business benefited. Does that still, Julia, hold as true as it used to?
Well, for the business of TV advertising, it's definitely true. Because for the Olympics and anything involving the Olympics, which is, of course, on our sister network, there is a drive of viewership towards that big event. The fact that that viewing is live is incredibly valuable. You can reach people in real time. When it comes to platforms like Pinterest, what they benefit from is consumer trends. If people are going onto Pinterest to say during the pandemic to outfit their kitchens, to buy new furniture, to figure out a home office, then they're going to benefit from that. So that's about different consumer trends. The question is right now, because consumers are spending a lot of money on travel, Pinterest is trying to say plan your trips on Pinterest, and then we'll drive you relevant ads around that. The fact that people are spending less perhaps on retail and more on experiences like concert tickets and travel, that might not benefit Pinterest as much. So the fact that Pinterest is really about retail purchasing things, that might give us a little bit of insight into where consumers are spending right now.
And it suggests the pandemic was Pinterest's Super Bowl. And meanwhile, Walmart gets a Super Bowl every week with 139 million people. So that does feel, as long as I guess they don't alienate people with this experience, and you saw it, so maybe you can describe how invasive it is, that's a natural place to put those eyeballs.
It will be a delicate balance, and this is something that other retailers are struggling with as well. Walgreens actually is facing a lawsuit from a company that has turned its cooler aisles into digital screens. The new Walgreens CEO came in. She allegedly did not like the appearance of it and then ended that contract. There's a dispute over why that contract was ended, but again, it kind of illustrates the tension here about the consumer experience and selling ads, which again, very lucrative.
Yeah.
All righty. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Good to have you with us.
Let's see what Pinterest says after the bell.